Hey, welcome back to another episode. I am so glad that you're here. Today I want to talk about burnout. I was just thinking about how many times in my life I've gone through it and didn't even realize I was going through it until this last year. Such good coffee this morning. Okay, so burnout, if you're not sure what I mean by that or what it is, um, we can experience burnout in all areas of our life, to be honest. And for me, what I can relate burnout to is when you're just mentally and physically drained. And the burnout just, um, it just leaves you so exhausted. But the definition of burnout is a state of mental, physical, and emotional exhaustion that can be caused by chronic stress. Um, And the symptoms, like you'd be surprised, the physical symptoms of burnout are headaches, stomach aches, fatigue, frequent illness, changes in appetite or sleep. The emotional symptoms, helplessness, cynicism, sense of failure and self doubt, decreased satisfaction, feeling detached or alone, loss of motivation. Behavioral signs, reduced performance in everyday tasks, withdrawal or isolation, procrastination, outbursts, using substances to cope. Other symptoms include chest pain, heart palpitations, dizziness, fainting, poor immune function, high blood pressure, suicidal ideation or thoughts. Burnout can affect work, your home, your family care. People with burnout may feel drained, overwhelmed, and tired, and may have difficulty concentrating. They may also feel cynical about their work or colleagues and may distance themselves emotionally from their work. Um, what do I have to say about this? I have gone through this a few times in my 45 years. Um, so for me, just speaking from experience, I didn't know I was going through it until somebody else, it just so happened to be my life coach, addressed it and said, have you ever felt burnout? And I was thinking, well, I don't know, and then she started kind of giving a little bit more examples of what burnout can do and what it was. And I was like, dang, I am experiencing it right now. And so I actually found her over social media in July of 2023. And that was a very pivotal point in my life. And I found her just before going to some retreats that I had earned. And I was experiencing burnout and was trying to go to these, events to try to get out of that funk, right? To try to get out of that funk. And it actually, I feel like, made it worse because I wasn't in the right mindset. And I didn't know that I was going through these feelings and emotions and symptoms. And I didn't recognize the signs of burnout. And so for me, I think so many people around me were also experiencing burnout, and we were all trying to use that event to come together and to like overcome that stagnancy. And when you have other people in the same circle that are going through the same things, sometimes it's great, other times it can emotionally drain you all, right? And so I think that's what was happening is we were just draining each other, and emotionally it was just a lot, and so spiritually it was a lot. So after coming back from those events, actually injured my ankle and my foot at the second one and didn't really know I had done it or how severe it was until months later. And so going through burnout, like you will not stay focused, and you will lose like lack of desire to do things, right? Like I was just, the motivation is a thief anyways, so like you're not always going to be motivated. And if it is like a motivation, it's usually you want that inspired action to motivate you, right? And for me, I didn't have any inspired action because I just felt really stuck where I was at. And um and I was just going through these feelings of just drained, and I felt like I wasn't where I wanted to be, and I was overthinking things. I was being a hard critic on myself. I was being really hard on myself. and not really being hard on others so much as I was being more hard on myself. And we are our own worst critic, like, let's be honest. And when you're trying not to be, and you're trying to do self-development and you're trying to grow, you start recognizing the thoughts and the patterns and what you say to yourself. And I think that's really what happened. Was it was addressed by my life coach, um and I once I addressed it and acknowledged it, I had to look at the options and I had to make decisions. And I realized that I needed to get back out in nature more, that I needed to be doing the things that I love doing, and that constantly grinding and being a workaholic wasn't serving me or my family or anybody else around me. And if it was serving others around me, it was depleting from me. And so I was being really depleted. And so that's kind of where I felt like there was a lot of more stress in my day to day. I noticed I had gotten rid of the anxiety and hadn't had the anxiety in my life for several years, but I noticed that some of that was trying to creep back, and I didn't like it. Um and so I realized that, it was so important for me to start getting outside, to start moving and start deciding and making quicker decisions. I realized that I needed to do more self-care, that I was starting to like lack in that area again. I also was wanting to work more on my gut health and my physical health, my mental health, and so I decided, like, okay, I'm going to get back to my chiropractor. I started doing the swimming pool, and I started doing like water therapy, and then just getting that movement in the pool. And I started painting again, and I'm an artist and I love doing art, so I started painting again. And I just decided that I want to do the things that I love doing. And by making sure I was getting the right amount of sleep, making sure I was staying hydrated, making sure I was getting movement in, paying really close attention to what food and things I was putting into my body, because it can make you sick. You can experience dis-ease. And if you think about disease, dis-ease, and that's what it does. And so you feel like it can bring on depression, it can bring on that anxiety, it can bring on feelings of doubt and fear. It can also start really twisting your thoughts, so that you start thinking you're not good enough to get done or to get out of that rut. And that's where those suicidal emotions and feelings can come from. And so getting out of burnout, it's just so important that you get yourself in aligned with a routine. What I have learned is that when I have a day to day routine, I'm less likely to experience burnout. And part of that routine is doing stuff with myself and my family, not just my business, not just writing my books, not just, work, 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 but it's doing things I enjoy doing. And so it's taking a break and pausing and doing some self development. It's listening to a podcast or a book. It's sitting down and reading an actual book. It's doing a Bible study. It's having a conversation with a friend or a family member. Um, it's so important that, like, you are connecting with other people and connecting with not just your immediate family, but people outside of that. Who is in your circle? And I realized that part of burnout was also the people around me. And so if you're elevating at a certain vibration, and you're headed to a certain level, and you know what you want, and you've got your, like, without a doubt, there's no doubt, you know what you want, you've set your goal, and you feel really confident in it, and then you have all these people around you that don't know what they want. They don't know what they're doing, they don't know what they want, they're confused, they're distracted, they're looking at what everybody else is doing and trying to figure out what they should do, and they haven't aligned with, like, their actual goal, and they're not looking inward, they're looking outward for a solution instead of looking on the inside of themselves. They're wanting to look at what everybody else is doing, and it just doesn't get you where you need to go when you're doing that, and that will keep you in the burnout stage. And you'll feel like it's never going to happen. And that's where the doubt and the fears creep in, is when you're looking outward at what everybody else is doing instead of looking inward. And you have to know your worth. When I was experiencing burnout, I was struggling with worthiness still and my self image. I was still worried about other people's opinions. I was still scared of telling people no. I was still being a people pleaser, even though I didn't realize I was. I had somebody say to me, somebody I actually respected and I actually looked up to in a way, and they said, um, when you're all in a circle in a group and there's like 20 plus people, and you're in a circle in a group and everybody's sharing their testimony and their story, and it becomes your turn, and someone says, oh great, everybody get your tissue, Crystal's going to talk, this is going to take forever. How would that make you feel? How would you take that? Like, how would you receive that? And for me, I shrugged it off in front of everybody and said, no, I've worked really hard on sharing my story. It shouldn't take that long. And inside, I felt like I was the smallest, crappiest person because I was wasting people's time. Like, I wasn't valuable enough for them to hear my testimony and my story. And then when I shared it, I was met with, no, that's not your true story. You missed this part and this part and this part and this part and this part. And then they shared my parts of my past because I didn't share it good enough. But I felt like I needed to leave those parts out because I didn't want to waste people's time. And for me, those were a lot of things in my life where I felt like a lot of time was wasted and focused on them that they shouldn't have been. So I didn't want to do that. And when you're changing your story and you're rewriting your story and you're on a new chapter, you don't have to talk about everything anymore. You get to decide what you want to talk about. And I really felt like I wasn't being heard or received or accepted as my true authentic self in that moment. And the reality was, I should have shared my whole big messy mess story. I know that now. I shouldn't have cared what someone's opinion was, whether they tried to be funny or not, or whether it's meant to be serious or like whatever it was, it didn't matter. I shouldn't have had a perception of worrying about what they think of me. And I should have just shared my truth. And whether I understand it or not, my truth is really messy. And it didn't have to be, but it was. I know now what I could have done differently to avoid having that messy life, but I had to go through that burnout experience in order to address where I'm at and where I've been, and in order to know exactly authentically who I am today. The person that I am today took those pieces of her mess and she was able to put them together and create a message. And I didn't have that before experiencing burnout. I think burnout can be messy, but I also think it's a beautiful thing when you can overcome it and you can look back and you can address the things and see what created that burnout, because you get to make decisions. And one thing I have learned and gained confidence in is who I am and the worthiness that is attached to each one of us. We all are worthy. I'm not the only one worthy of success or worthy of wonderful blessings or wonderful things or experiences. We are all worthy of those, and you get to decide. And I think for me, I had never decided I was worth it. And I had let other people's opinions hold me back for entirely way too long. And I was looking outward for answers because from the time that my trauma started, it was outward projection. So think about it. And so I was always in fear of the outside world, of people's opinions, of, I had idle threats from people. And I had actually, been almost killed at one point by an ex-spouse. And like, when you have physically gone through violence and you have physically witnessed violence from a very young age, and to just have your body, your physical body violated in such ways as a young child and as a young woman, um, those things should never happen. Period. Ending. But they do, and people overlook it. There's so much going on right now in social media right now. There's just all kinds of stuff is being exposed, right? For me, I was looking for an apology from people. I was looking for answers as to why and how this could have happened. And what I needed to stop doing was those things. I needed to stop looking for an apology and realize that I needed to forgive myself. I needed to forgive myself for not having any control over the situations, and love myself, forgive myself, and love myself, for being so strong to get through those things and to be the woman I am today, to be able to say, those things don't hold bondage on my life anymore. And that I can truly talk about them without without lowering my vibration and lowering my energy. And I still have so much value to offer people despite what happened to me. And so the how is not important. The why it happened, so I can share with somebody else that they're not alone, and that they can have a beautiful and amazing life, and that they can keep living, and that they can forgive and heal, and that they're holding on to the poison by not forgiving and healing. You're holding on to the poison. You're the only one getting poisoned. And I think that's what happened to me for so many years, was I was the one getting poisoned, and it was just poisoning my body with disease. Um and just my mental health was poisoned, and my spiritual health was poisoned, and the devil just did his work, and he ate that up, because he had he had bondage on me, he had a hold on me for 37 years. For 37 years. And these last 4.5, almost 5 years, I have worked my heart at just loving myself more, loving people unconditionally, understanding that it is what it is, and that my focus should not be on the past, because I don't live there anymore and I can't change it. Like, what's done is done. And I think that was the hardest part to chew, and to eat, and to swallow, and to digest, and to marinate, and to just like take in and resonate with, was that what's done is done. And now I have the opportunity today, right now, in this very moment, to rewrite every part of my chapters from here on out, to rewrite my entire story. And the end result is that I absolutely have a heart full of Jesus, and that I have found my Lord and Savior, and that I don't have to be ashamed of that. And I will never doubt what he has done to carry me when I couldn't walk. And I have had visions of this, of just Jesus picking me up on a beach. We were on a beach, and there's only two set of footprints, and it's his, and he was carrying me. And just recently, we were walking on a beach, and there was two sets of footprints, and stood me, and he put me down on the ground. And I said, no, please do not. I'm not ready to walk by myself. And he grabbed my hand, and we walked together. And if that's not clarity, I don't know what is. If that's not my truth, then I don't know what is. Because I will tell you, that's what I do every day. Like, I just thank God every day that I gave my heart to him, and that I just let him take all my wounds and my sins, and I just asked for that forgiveness, and I was able to just repent, and just fall in love with my life. fall in love with what I get to do each day, fall in love with who I am on the inside because he molded and shaped me into a better human being and he does every single day. Fall in love with knowing that I am one of his most highest infinite potential beings that he created, that God created for me to be able to change and impact someone else's life. For me to just tell someone else how unconditionally I love them, how they are worth everything and more. And just to share Jesus's love with them and to love like him. And that's been the hardest journey for me, is to accept who I am. And I am just nobody special. We're all incredible beings. And I could not accept that I was an incredible being. I did not think I was worthy of being able to go to heaven. I just did not think that I was good enough for him. But what we don't understand is that we're all good enough for him. Every single one of us are good enough for him. And burnout stopped when I gave my heart to him. And that's just my truth. Burnout stopped when I made a decision that I was enough. Burnout stopped when I made a decision that I was never going to put my dreams on the back burner again, and I was going to chase after them and get them and go for them, and they're already done. I just have to believe that they're done. I just have to take that inspired action and love every part about what I get to do and who I get to serve and who I get to help, and really align with my truth. And that is when burnout stopped happening for me. And I just feel so much like love and joy. And it's incredible the emotions that you can feel when you attach it to the person and the goal and the end result of what you want and who you are. When he can show you that you are like not who you are right now, when he can show you how he is going to change and amplify your life. I think that was the game changer for me. That was the truth for me. And it is just such a blessing when you can come on the other side of burnout and you can come on the other side of the exhaustion and get out of the enemy's like hold, get out of that bondage and be able to create this incredible life that you love. Just be around people that excel, that help you accelerate, that just want the same, similar things that you want, that literally can help encourage you instead of discourage you. And it has just been such a blessing to just let things flow easily and effortlessly and joyfully without stress and anxiety and the depression and the fears, the doubts. Like when fear happens, I say, why are you here? Like what do you need from me? And it usually will tell me where I'm headed next. It'll show me, but I have to be accepting that it's okay. The fears, I've got to walk through it and have those conversations with myself and really encourage myself. And it's the inside I'm working on of me, my thoughts, my mindset, what I say to myself in my day to day, how I present myself, how I feel and treat other people and treat myself. And what am I doing to do things that are going to help me feel good, right? Getting outside with nature. Gosh, I went to the chiropractor the last couple of days and I go back in a couple more days. Oh my gosh, it feels so good to feel good. And it's those things. What do you love doing? If you're not doing things that you love, why aren't you? Right? Like, why are you settling? Why are you settling for things that you don't love doing? You should love everything you're doing. You should be able to feel good about it. We get one life. This is it. There's no do-over. And like you can start right now and you get to make that decision that you are not making it happen, that you are accepting that it's already happening, that it's already on its way, that it's already just glorifying everything that you have desired and everything you've asked God for and everything that you already know you're worthy of having it all, right? But you have to believe that. It's that belief in knowing that you already have it all. You're already equipped. You just have to have that love inside yourself and let that love radiate. Give people unconditional love instead of judgment. Change your thoughts, change your words, speak more life over things instead of death. There's so many ways for us to get out of burnout. But if we're not taking the steps to change the behaviors, because sometimes we don't have that motivation, sometimes we don't know where to start, but it starts with the words and the thoughts that we're saying about things. If it's negative, rewire it. For every negative thing, say 5 positive things out loud. Claim those and speak what you want very clearly. Don't put any buts in there. Don't put any maybes or tries. Speak very crystal clear. I am asking for. I am worthy of. Very crystal clear. And just be so grateful that you get to do the things that you love, that you get to rewire your brain, that you get to learn these new behavioral patterns, that you get to change your focus and your mindset, that you get to help people and serve others, that you get to be your true, authentic self. This is how we overcome burnout, is by being our true, authentic self. Burnout comes when we're not being authentically aligned with who we truly are. And if we're trying to put on a mask or several masks, like I did that for years, if we're trying to people please, if we're trying to do things that we know morally don't align with who we are, those things will hinder you and stop you from hitting the goals you're trying to hit. It'll create burnout. And so it's so important that you recognize those things and you look inward and do a self-assessment. How am I feeling? What are my emotions? People tell you to turn off your feelings all day long and to be a robot. Stop that. You're not a robot. If you were supposed to be a robot, a man would have made you and you would have been a robot. But you were not created by man, so you're not a robot. You are a human being that you were created by God. You were created in love. Love and joy and happiness and all these good feelings are your natural state. So stop trying to be what you're not. Be true and authentic to who you are, God's highest creation, your infinite potential that He created. We all are. So you need to own that. You need to accept that. And you need to love the hell out of that, because we are His most loving being. And if you're not feeling that, then you're not doing the things you're supposed to be doing. You're not aligned to the person He's created you to become. See, He already equipped us. You're already equipped. I'm already equipped. We're already equipped for what He has in store for us, for our future selves. Who you believe you are today is false. Who you believe you were yesterday is false. Who you believe you're going to become is actually false, because guess what? You're better. You don't even realize the potential that you hold inside. And we're better. The potential we hold inside is so magnitude that you can't even wrap your head around it right now. Even if you're at your highest potential that you believe you are infinite potential, which means you have more to offer than what you even believe you have today. Wrap your head around that. Took me a minute. It's so true, though. How many times have we doubted things and we've put things on the back burner and we've questioned things when we should just be accepting who our truth's authentic self is? And that's infinite potential. You have everything you need to go out and do every single thing your heart desires. Every single thing that God wants for you, those prayers you've been asking for, the money, the opulence, the prosperity, the abundance, the clients, the new cars, the houses, the tithing, the being able to bless other people and pay it forward, to be able to do incredible things, right? You already have all of that. It's already inside of you. You just have to believe that it is, and you have to take that inspired action. I'm not saying just sit on the couch and wait for it to happen and it's on its way. No, you have to really dig deep inside and see what it is that you have to offer, and you need to share that with the world. Every day, how are you going to serve somebody? 5 people. that you can get in conversations with and impact their life in some way. It doesn't have to be gigantic, but it can just be being kind to them. Who are you saying hello to today? Who are you telling that you hope they have an incredible day today and God bless them? Who are you showing love to today? 5 people. And it will be incredible once you start feeling what you're doing. They're going to feel that it's a ripple effect. And then they're going to see that you do that and they're going to do it too. And it just creates this abundance of love, and unconditional love is so good for us. So good for the universe. It's so good for everything. It attracts and vibrates so many incredible things, right? But that's something that so many of us struggle with. We want to judge. We want to criticize. We want to look at other people's look at people's glass houses. And it's hard because if you're going to do that, nothing will change. Everything will stay the same for you. Nothing will change. But once you stop and you start looking in your own house, you start taking your own inventory and you stop worrying about everybody else, and you start taking your own inventory and you get really truthful and accountable, and you really just forgive yourself for the not knowing, and then you start doing better. You practice habits, new habits that are going to help you develop doing better things, and you get 1% better each day. That's literally all you're asking for is one. People think you got to go from 0 to 90, and you don't. It's 1% better each day. And that's how I am where I am today. 1% better each day. Just self-improvement, doing an hour of studies each day, getting outside with nature, having conversations with people I love, doing things that I enjoy, putting forth inspired action into my dreams and my goals. Like, these are the things that require us to do this. And when you're feeling crappy, rest. So many people will keep moving forward when they're in a negative headspace, but usually you need a nap. Like, you need to go to bed earlier. You need a nap. Like, there's little things that you can do. You need to go get food and rest. Not everything demands our attention. And so that's something that I've had to learn, is not everything requires a reaction. And responding is always better than a reaction. So if I feel like I'm going to react, it means it's usually not coming from God. And so I will wait until I can respond. And if I can't respond, then I won't respond. Like, it's just that simple. But you have to understand that not everything requires a reaction or a response, and no response is a response, and that's okay. And you get to decide where you put your energy, and you can be an energy snob. And people may not like hearing that, but you get to protect your energy and become an energy snob. And you get to say, I love you and I'll always unconditionally love you, but you get to remove people and choose to continue to go on with them in your circle or not. And there's nothing wrong with that. People can be offended. That is their perception and that's on them. That has nothing to do with you. But you get to decide. It doesn't mean you don't love them. It doesn't mean you don't care about them. It just means that you are productive of your energy and your space, and that you can feel when your vibration is higher or lower around those people and things. And so you have to decide. And decision making shouldn't take weeks. It needs to take, like, within a day. 24 hours usually is more than enough time. It's sometimes too much time. Give yourself a few hours, to give yourself an hour or two, heck, minutes. If you can get it down to just making that decision on the spot, you're going to feel incredible. Quick decision makers are usually successful people too. Is literally, I've just been hearing that so much, and it's true. As soon as I stopped holding off and procrastinating on making a decision, it created less anxiety, actually no anxiety, because I've made the decision, and what's done is done. The decision's been made. And it's holding to my truth, and which means that it's aligned with who I am and who I'm becoming. And it feels good. If it feels good, that's what you want. Like, point blank, emotions matter. And so, like, when something isn't aligned, it's not going to feel good. Point blank. That I used to think that you just had to push past those feelings and emotions. No, our gut instinct and our intuition is a smart tool. we need to be using it. And so those are the things that really help me get out of burnout and to be able to improve my life and change and flip the script. And so I hope these things have helped you. We will talk more about this on another podcast, I'm sure, just because it's such a great topic. But if you have any questions or you need any guidance, don't ever hesitate to reach out. You know that my inbox is always open. Have a great day, and I hope this inspires somebody. Go share it with a friend.